Kiss my aesthetic, brandy, marketing, entrepreneurship.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. We have a repeat guest. Welcome back, Natalie.
Thank you. I'm actually so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we've done a really good job of keeping up with each other since you were last on the podcast.
I know we've done some stuff, and I love partnering with you because we're just like very like-minded. You're Gemini,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we're like opposite signs because I'm a Sag, but
Okay.
I'm a Gemini rising. So I feel like we
There you
kind of
go.
operate on a similar wavelength.
Totally. And your videos always come up for me on my For You page. So I'm like, my girl.
Oh my gosh,
Throw her a
yay!
little No, I love watching everything go down. But for anyone who doesn't know you yet or hasn't listened to the old episode, which is episode 76, give us some context. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you help?
Well, my name's Natalie McMillan. I am an artist of kind of a bunch of different things, mainly jewelry. I also design fragrances and have marketed my brand through both of those things and then through some other creative outlets. I think just even my website was a creative outlet for me. It's kind of loud and that was like an artistic process in its own. And I also sell some paintings if I have any done. Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, really.
I think we call this multidisciplinary. Is that the
Ooh.
fancy name for it?
Oh, I love that. Or like multi-hyphenate.
Yes, multi-hyphenate. We love it. So much of your work is, and what we talked about in the last time was kind of on this like chaos spectrum.
Yes. Yeah.
Of like having everything all at once, which I really am drawn towards. Have you always been that way in your design sensibilities, or did you have to grow into that kind of look?
I think I had to, in terms of jewelry, I kind of had to, because for me, art was just like very innate. I've been painting and drawing and stuff since I was like 2. So I never really had to refine my style in any way. But with jewelry, it was kind of all new to me. I started from scratch. And I, at the time, it was the like look was very minimal, very elegant, wearable. And so I thought, okay, I kind of just have to tailor my designs to that because that's what people want. Even though it wasn't necessarily what I wanted all the time. So I think I've kind of evolved from that point to a little bit more chaotic jewelry, but there's still options for like, regular jewelry styles,
It's a mix. No, it's definitely a really solid mix, and I think I resonate with that a lot because same way when I started off my business, I wanted to be very like palatable. I wanted my stuff to be neutral, and I wanted to show that I could be this chameleon and I could do all different kinds of styles and I could serve so many people, when it seems counterintuitive, but you actually have more success the more that you stick to what you love and what you are drawn towards, because that's the thing that you can do better than anyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also just like not wanting, when you first start out, you kind of just want everybody to like you and want everybody to like your stuff. And so that sometimes means dimming your particular brand of, maybe what you think is, oh, will people vibe with that? Or will they think I'm weird? Or, and so I think at first we all kind of have that dimmed. And then as you go along in business and people kind of start getting you, then you're like, oh, okay, I can be a little more myself.
It comes with practice, and it comes with like confidence over time too, right? Like kind of figuring out, okay, no, it is okay to lean into this look that I want or this vibe or style. I'm curious for your creative process when you're envisioning a collection. Does it come to you in kind of like a That's So Raven download?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And you like tune in and you're like, you can see the whole thing, and then you like snap back to reality? Because that's how it works for me. I'm wondering if that's similar.
That is so interesting. I have had moments kind of like that. With collections, God, it's so weird. Maybe I do because I almost am like, how do I come up with them? I mean, they do sort of just like pop into my head, and it's weird because it's always after I've traveled somewhere.
Yes. Yes. Now we're
Um,
getting to it.
yeah, it's always when I've like even if it's somewhere like I went to Walla Walla, Washington
Okay.
uh last year for my cousin's twins birthday party. And so just like random place. It wasn't like vacation or anything. It was just like for the weekend. And on my way back I had my whole Wizard of Oz collection like in
Mm-hmm.
my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, I don't know what it is about kind of getting out of my space and my routine that maybe makes me more susceptible to having those downloads, kind of like, oh, I'm going to do a Wizard of Oz collection. I don't know why I thought that. I really don't.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Wizard of Oz theme party or anything. Like, what was
No,
the string? No idea.
I have no idea. I have no idea. And then interestingly enough, right now I recently launched my Barbie collection, Barbie Core.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the idea for that like a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept putting it off. And then weirdly, the timing just kind of synced up where now there's like all this Barbie, like the Barbie movies coming
Mm-hmm.
out. So
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of like worked in that way. I didn't do that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting how it kind of just comes to you divinely. I don't know.
There's something that happens, right? Because I think that you and I, we talked about this last time too. Like, we are children of the internet. Like, and I
Yes.
think when you're privy to what people are talking about and where trend cycles are headed, like, it's not a surprise that things cycle back around, right? And
Yeah.
so I explain this to my clients all the time. Like, they'll show me something that's super trendy and I'll say, like, yeah, you can do that for now. But like, here are the implications of that's gonna look dated in 5 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
the super script brush font and watercolor vibe is very 2017 blogger, and it always will be. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
there's just some things that give us that sense of style and place and space, but in a wonderful way. Like, lean into it, like lean
Yeah.
into the aesthetic. And for a moment, like Barbiecore, like I can trace it back to like Valentino pink. Like, that to me is what kicked off all
Yes.
of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're everything's gonna be hot pink now.
Yeah.
Like, everything's gonna be Barbie wonderful beautiful, which I love because I grew up with Barbies. But it's
Yes.
funny how like the nostalgia hits for certain age groups. Like, I was just walking through Target today and there was like a smocked tube top with like the tie around the neck, and I was like, I owned a top like this in the 7th grade and I wore it to death, and now it's back at Target. And it's just so funny. It's like we're old enough now to see a full like generations trend cycle come around.
Yeah. Well, I'm just laughing because I saw a TikTok like a couple days ago of this girl who had like three different tank tops layered,
Mm-hmm.
like three different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it was
Mm-hmm.
so cute when you like layer these. And then it was this girl who like had stitched it, and she was showing pictures of her in middle school wearing it
Mm-hmm.
in like
Mm-hmm.
2007 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When we looked terrible,
Mm-hmm.
we looked so bad. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like the stark difference, even though it's the exact same style, but
Uh-huh.
these internet kids that have had like YouTube and
Uh-huh.
Instagram, so they don't look like there's no preteens anymore.
No, no, no,
You
no.
go
I've
from a
noticed that as well.
child to a full-blown adult. I'm like, "What? Are there not like the awkward
Uh-huh.
preteens? Where are
Uh-huh.
they?"
But also, how much of a flex is it when like a 12-year-old compliments your outfit at the airport?
Oh my
I
god, well, that's never happened to me.
got these super extra wide leg jeans from Madewell. And they're like crop. This was coming back from the photo shoot, the team photo shoot. Like, crop white button down, super wide leg jeans, like platform Vans. She's like, "Oh my god, I love your outfit." I was like, "Oh,
You're like, "Wow."
made, day made." Because the first
Yes.
time I was wearing this, you were not even born. But like, thank you,
But, like, thank you so much. No,
right?
seriously, seriously. I know,
Yeah.
especially because 'cause they're scary.
Yeah.
Teenagers
Can
scare me. I'm like, "Don't say anything to me."
Can you think back to a time when you were growing up where you're like, this is my outfit that I felt just super fly? Like, this was my
Oh,
jam.
I do, and I
Okay.
remember it because I loved it so much, and one of my friend's moms was like, "What are you wearing?" And I was
Layering.
like, "What?" It was a black and white striped t-shirt that
Uh-huh.
had like some sort of pink glitter, like it might have said like rock princess or something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then camo like capri pants.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I thought that was like, this is my moment.
Yep.
This
That
is
was
my
for
time
me.
to shine.
First day of 7th grade. Camouflage capri pants, cargo pants,
Yep.
orange Hollister polo, orange, bright orange. Like
Yes.
straight hair, and my hair was like down to my butt at the time. Side bang,
The
and
side
then like
bang.
rubber flip-flops. And I
Yep.
thought, this is it. This is the best I'm ever gonna look. 7th
Yes.
grade, first day of school. And
Oh
that
my
picture's
God.
hilarious.
I know. I mean, it's like, it's kind of a like upside downside because I really don't have very many pictures from that time
Right.
because it was right in between like having film camera, like disposable
Totally.
cameras,
Totally.
and having digital
Digitals.
cameras that were on like, and then we would put the pictures on like MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would just, they're all gone. I don't know where they are. They got deleted
Mm-hmm.
with my MySpace. So I don't really have many photos, but I kind of wish I did because I know those outfits looked whack.
Right? I know. And then you're kind of thankful that they don't exist. Or
I
like maybe they
know.
exist somewhere. Like they're in somebody's like garbage pile. Some mom that we went to elementary middle school with like took pictures of everything on disposable cameras, got them printed at Costco, and like somehow has these in an archive somewhere.
I
Like they
know.
exist. Like I know that they're in someone's basement. Like I know they're there.
I
But it's just
know.
so funny to think back to, right?
Like, where are they?
Totally, totally. But then, like we said, like all these things end up coming back into fashion,
Yep.
and circle back through. And so, how much of when you're approaching like a new collection or you're trying to come up with ideas, how much are you pulling from like what feels current versus what feels timeless versus like does that influence your design process at all?
For me, not too much. I actually
Okay,
really try not to do anything on trend.
sure.
Kind of going back to when I first started and was doing everything because I was like, well, this is what people want. Like, I think this
Mm-hmm.
is, so that was kind of the trend, but it didn't really speak to my like artistic nature as much. It kind of just felt like obligatory almost.
Sure.
So now I just sort of make stuff that I want to wear. And
Yeah.
for me, a lot of the times that is something like time, like right now I have on, I mean, I have like a million rings on, but like a gold dome ring is
Mm-hmm.
never, it's always going to be in style. It's always going
Mm-hmm.
to look classy with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is a timeless thing. But some of my other stuff, like I have on these like chunky link plasticky, like that's gonna go out of style. I don't think it's even in style. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but
But
you
it
know what I
also
mean.
with the acceleration of how fast things move, there's also been so many reports about how the trend cycle has kind of cannibalized itself. There's a ton of really
Crazy.
talented creators that talk about this on TikTok. One that comes to mind is Old Loser in Brooklyn, Mandy.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm obsessed with her videos. She does such a good job talking about it. But about how things like become a trend and then fall out of trends almost so fast that like blah, blah, like you can't even sink your teeth into anything, and that what will prevail is just personal style. So like the
Yes.
trend cycle will go, and what will stay is like personal style. I think we're seeing this right now with like Sophia Richie's wedding, right? Like
Right.
very classic, very streamlined, very timeless. But that's now become her like section of the aesthetic vibe, is like she's now the representative of that look. Do you
Right.
agree?
100%. 100%. I mean, I think also like with the trend cycle moving so quickly, it is kind of, I think the like style icons that we start looking
Yeah.
towards are the ones that are, regardless of what the style is, they're finding pieces from what's trendy and they're incorporating it into their own sort of
Right.
uniform,
Right.
you know?
Right. Who are the ones that stand out to you as like diehard icons?
Oh, like a like
Anywhere from
Of
anywhere,
all
music,
time?
culture, acting,
Oh,
sports, anything.
jeez.
I feel like you had a bit of a Pamela Anderson moment on TikTok recently.
Oh, that was so funny. I really was. Yes, I did.
Tell
I
us that whole story for those that might have
Yeah.
missed it.
So I used to do makeup I've always loved makeup, always, like, since I was little, have been interested in it. I did it professionally a little bit through college, and one of my teachers was this makeup artist named Alexis Vogel, who was Pam Anderson's makeup artist, and she, like, invented that, like, 2005
Mhm.
Playmate, like the smoky eye, like the Girls Next Door, the Pam
Mhm.
Anderson, all the Carmen Electra. She, like, created that look. And so one day on TikTok, I was like, oh, I'll just, like, show people how she did her lips, because that was
Mhm.
such an iconic look. And I think
Mhm.
this was around the time that her documentary came out or something.
Mhm.
She was on my mind for some reason. So I did that, and then it just, like, blew the fuck up, like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
crazy. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's so interesting too, like, in with TikTok, because I don't do makeup professionally at all,
Right.
at all. But it drove so many people to my business.
Did it? That was my next
Oh,
question,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think that that is what's so interesting too about, also, like, if people have personal brands, and you probably hear it all the time, because people would tell me this all the time and I just refuse to believe it. But, like, nobody really gives a shit about
Yep.
your stuff. Like, nobody
Yep.
really gives a shit. They care about
Yep.
you.
Yep.
So, like, if you're somebody that they vibe with, they're gonna go look at your stuff, and then if it's just, you can get a gold dome ring literally
Mhm. Mhm.
anywhere.
Mhm.
But you might want to buy it from me if you somehow find me and like me, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, you know? So it really doesn't matter, like, what you put online in terms of marketing, because you kind of just, like, have to market yourself. Not even that I was trying to do it in a marketing way. I just, like, have fun on
No.
TikTok, you know?
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
it's kinda just how it works now.
I feel like you occupy, like, a really safe big sister space on the internet. Like, you kinda have this, like, I'm your, like, either your funky cool aunt or your older sister that always has a million great jewelry pieces on that, like,
Yeah,
let me actually show you how to line your lips. Like, and it is authentic because it's authentic. It's you actually really just wanted to share tips. But
yeah,
in a roundabout way, it creates this story between who's viewing your stuff and who might want to buy your product. And
yeah,
you're creating that kind of rapport by showing up consistently. And I think that that's the biggest thing that when I'm talking to other business owners, and maybe you notice this from people you've met in like an entrepreneurship capacity, is like they don't want to ever open that door. And so
yeah,
then they get all discouraged because they're like, oh, I posted about this project I did and nobody gave a shit. And it's like, well, you didn't really make it interesting to them,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
you got to bring that personal, there has to be that personal appeal first. Is that
yes.
how you kind of approach it? Or do you know other like jewelry designers that are like, oh my gosh, how are you doing this? Like, I'm struggling. Like, what am I doing?
Well, jewelry is actually, like, one of the, and I remember when I first started, and, like, every jewelry designer I talked to was like, if I had one bit of advice, it'd be like, don't try to be a
Don't
jewelry
do it.
designer. Yes, because it's, like, such a hard industry to crack. And honestly, it is, because
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do with like I said, a gold dome ring, a million people have
Mhm.
gold dome rings, right?
Mhm.
So you have to
Mhm.
find a way to either make your jewelry stand out on its own, or you have to stand out on your own
Mhm.
to make people interested in your stuff.
Mhm.
Um and I think I have never done it that way.
Yeah.
I've never gone the way of, um let me, like, make people interested in me and then be
Sure.
interested in my jewelry. I've always tried to do it the other way around, just cuz, like, as much as I show up online, I like hate being perceived. I hate it.
But I don't think it comes off that way at all. As someone who like watches your content.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is everybody's like, you seem like normal. I'm like, I am, but it's also just like, I don't know. If I could go in a cave and never come out, I would. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
like,
if you're gonna go live in your cave, what are 3 things you're bringing with you then?
oh my god,
You're saying I'm gonna go live in a cave. No, I don't ever need to be seen on the internet ever again. Well, what are you gonna bring with you?
in a professional sense, or in just like I need to enjoy my life.
Anything. Either.
Okay, well, I have to bring Zeppelin, my
Of
dog,
course. The
who
pups. Yep.
people might hear snoring because he's right next to me and he's so loud.
Yep.
Um, and then moisturizer
Fair.
because
Fair.
I am so dry. I'm the driest skin bitch in the world. And I love moisturizer. And then I would have to bring like some sort of streaming service. I love
Okay.
movies. I love movies. So I would just want to
Okay.
watch movies.
Old movies, new movies, cult
All the
classic movies,
movies.
all the
All of
movies.
them.
Okay, so you've got Barbie collection, which will be Barbie movies coming out this summer, which we
Yep.
should do a whole party around. That was my first idea for you. The
Honestly.
second the second one, you had Wizard of Oz. What other collections have you had that have been inspired by movies in that way? Have you?
I haven't had full collections that have been inspired by movies. Those two are actually the first ones that were collections that were so focused on one thing.
Sure,
I
sure.
kind of just had like these big like core collections. I had an icon collection, which was like all these different icons, you know, like Tupac and Biggie
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Jim Morrison. It was like kind of more of a music icon thing. But I have had pieces like I had True Romance hoops, which
Mm-hmm.
is from one of my favorite movies, True Romance, which had like dice, and I loved
Cool.
those. So I definitely have had like movie references throughout my stuff. In names. Also, I guess TV references too. I had Lacerva hoops, which was Adriana
Mm-hmm.
Lacerva from The Sopranos, who's like,
Mm-hmm.
she's a style icon. Oh my God.
Totally.
Oh my God. I love her. May she rest in peace. She's alive in real life in The
Right, of
Sopranos, you
course. Of course.
know. Christopher did not deserve her. Anyways, um, so yeah, but I do think I'll probably end up doing more movie centric stuff as I
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. I like that idea for you. I think that there's a lot of opportunities to also like expand what you've got going, right? Because you do have the jewelry as part of it. You have the fragrance, I think we should definitely talk about. You've got your artwork, like you said. And I think if you're a creative person and you like can see laterally like what all the collaboration potential can be, like there's so many ideas that fit in your world. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
this world that you created. But the fragrance was something that really like I was caught off guard in like the best way because you sent us some candles and some fragrances for the
Oh
treat.
yeah.
And we smelled the what happened in Vegas scent. And I remember watching your TikTok and you're like, I don't even know what words to use to describe this to you, but just trust me. And then I smelled it and I was like, oh my God, she's so right. Like there's
Yeah.
like a cherry note. Like explain how this whole idea even comes together because there's the Vegas what happens in Vegas scent, correct?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's the one that I have top of mind where I smelled it and I was like, I have never smelled anything like this
Yeah.
before. How did that idea come about and how do you begin as a business owner, like even on that whole journey to making and selling a fragrance?
Yeah. Well, actually, like making fragrances is probably the most fun I have. Like I love
Okay.
jewelry, but like the fragrances is so fun for me. Um and then the like painting and stuff is really just like pouring out my heart and soul, you
Sure.
know. But
Sure.
the fragrance stuff is just so much fun. But I remember so specifically, it was like my first year of being in business. And I thought to myself, I would love to have a perfume and a candle. And I
Mm-hmm.
just thought, obviously, I'm never going to do that because why would a jewelry company have a fragrance and a candle. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. But I've always been like so scent oriented, and I've always mixed a bunch
Mm.
of fragrances together to make things that I like. And then um one day, I don't know why, but I guess I just started looking like, how could I do this? Like, let's say I wanted to make one. Um, and I started researching, and then I met um my girl Sinai. She used to live in LA. Now she lives in Nashville, but she does a lot of like small batch fragrances
Sure.
for like celebrities, and she has her own line. And so I kind of called her up and I was like, I have this idea, but can you help me with it? Because I don't know where to get the ingredients. Like, I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I met with her and I just sort of like told her what I was thinking and the notes that I wanted. And I brought her all of my different things that I would mix together. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so I want to add these elements in. And then we mixed, I don't even know how many prototypes we went through of my first fragrance, Blood Sugar Baby, um, until I was like, no, this is the right one. And then Blood Sugar Baby, it's like kind of a play on words because
Uh-huh.
I have type 1 diabetes. So like,
Okay.
like I
I
am
love this.
like a Blood
There
Sugar
you
Baby.
go. Blood
It's
sugar baby.
it's also very like sweet, like caramely,
Yeah.
but it's not like sickeningly sweet. It's because it's kind of
No.
spicy. Um, but when I smelled the final prototype, the song um Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers played in my head.
Mm.
So like
Mm-hmm.
that song, and he says Blood Sugar Baby.
Mm.
And that song is what that perfume smells like. I don't
Okay.
know how
I
else.
I have this too. I think this is called synesthesia. It's
Maybe.
when you like can associate a sense with a different sense. So like I can see
Yeah.
colors and hear sound, or like I can hear a song and know what it like looks like visually. Or
Yeah.
same with like smell, where you can start to associate those things together. Like more strongly than I think the average human, where it's like
Yeah.
comes crystal clear. Like I'm like, oh, that's purple. Like I know it like
Yeah.
right off the top.
Oh no,
So I
I
think
knew it. Like I
yeah.
smelled it and I was like, that song literally just played in my head. And I told her, I was like, you know the song like Blood Sugar Sex Magic? And she's like, by the Red Hot Chili Peppers? And I said, uh-huh. And she goes, and I said, this smells exactly like that song. And she smelled it and she's like, you're actually right.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so Blood Sugar Baby was first, and then how did you get from that to what happens in Vegas?
Yeah. So, well, after Blood Sugar Baby, I had it all in my apartment, I remember. And then I was like, what the fuck did I just do?
Oh
Because
yeah.
nobody can smell this. How,
I
like,
know, that's a hard thing about selling e-com, right?
yeah. So I thought, oh my God, nobody's going to want this. Nobody's going to
Mhm.
buy this. I made a huge
Mhm.
mistake. At least I
Mhm.
have fragrance for the rest of my life with all of
Yep.
these bottles if nobody buys it. Um, and it just kind of was like a sleeper, like hit where word of mouth. I mean, it took on like a life of its own. And
Mhm.
then I was wearing that so long that I was like, I kind of want to do something else. So then I did What Happens in Vegas, which, yeah, it is unlike any other
Mhm.
fragrance
Mhm.
I've ever smelled.
Mhm.
Um, and I named it What Happens in Vegas because I mean, there's like a booze element, and then
Uh-huh.
there's like a chocolatey strawberry element. So it was kind of
Mhm.
this like weird like thing going on. And then there's like a musk. It just had this like Vegasy sort of feel where it's like fun and bright, but it's also kind of like dirty and like
Yeah. Yeah.
sexy. Yeah.
I could get that.
Um, yeah, and the way it wears down, like, so when you first put it on, it's like, what the fuck is happening? And
Uh-huh.
then like 20 minutes later, you kind of are like, what is,
Settles in.
yeah, and you're kind of like, I really just, you start smelling yourself over and over again because you're trying to figure out what it smells like.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
actually the funniest thing was I was at Disneyland and I said, somebody walked by and I was like, what perfume are you wearing? Because it
Yeah.
smelled so good. And she was like, it's called What Happens in Vegas. It was my perfume.
No way.
Yeah, but it
That's so
smelled
cool.
totally different on her.
Totally different. That's
Totally
so
different, but it
cool
smelled
though.
so good. And I was like, this is the craziest moment.
Oh my gosh, how cool. And she didn't even recognize who you were, but she had bought it from you? That's so
Yeah.
funny.
And I think that
So
that's the fun
funny.
thing with I think that's the fun thing with with like word of mouth and stuff is that people just kind of
Totally.
buy it or they get it as a
Totally.
gift and it's like, I don't even know where this came from, but it's good,
Totally.
you know?
No, it's
Yeah.
funny to see how those things like kind of track through different groups and friend groups and stuff like that. Cause I'm that with my friends too, where it's like if I find a brand that I love, I want them all to have it. I'm like, now I want
Yeah.
everybody to get a piece of it, right? And that's what
Oh
was so
yeah.
fun for with the retreat as well and creating content for you was like everyone kind of gravitates towards a style that sometimes you don't even predict. Like some of the girls on my
Yeah.
team who are like maybe a little more soft spoken, like went immediately for like the dagger shaped things, like anything pointy,
Oh,
and I was like,
fun.
wow, I would have never thought that for you. And they're like, oh, I love this. And I was like, okay, like learning more about each other. It's kind of fun because
Yeah.
there's so much self-expression in the way that we dress, right? And like there's I feel like sometimes on the internet, like fashion gets a bad rap or it comes off as like vain or passe to like talk about wanting to like wear and buy and express yourself with clothing and with fashion. But I really do think like that it is like it's the most like base level of creativity. Like everyone's
Oh
got to get
yeah.
dressed, right?
Oh
Everyone's got to
yeah.
go live their way through your life, and whether you're making an informed choice or an uninformed choice. I was giving my dad mad shit the other day because I helped him take the car to the dealership, and he was wearing like Madras shorts and then a polo, but then put on like a sweater, like a dress sweater on top of it, or no, it was like his Vori like shorts, his workout shorts, then a white cotton polo, then had like a brown cashmere jacket sweater on it, and then his New Balances. And I just looked at him and I was like,
What?
what were you thinking this
Where
morning?
are you
I was like,
going?
I was like, where? He's like, I was cold. I was like, so you just grabbed the first thing. Like, you didn't even think, like, because maybe like the shorts and the polo was like one thing. There's like a very Costco dad look. But then you
Yeah.
threw on this like business casual sweater and it's just really throwing me for a loop. And he's like, oh, whatever. And he's all like cranky about it.
I know.
And it's
The
just like,
sweater. Yeah, what? We
sometimes he
really
gets
mixed
dressed
vibes.
and my mom looks at him and she's like, are you 5? Like, what are you wearing? Like, what's going on? But for him, it's just so not a thing. Versus, I
Yeah.
think, and maybe this is gendering it too much, but like, I'm constantly thinking about what I'm wearing unless I'm walking my dog, in which case it's any weird combination of things that's the closest and most comfortable.
Oh, me too. And I'm always afraid. I'm like, what if, because I look like the craziest person on earth when I walk my dog in the morning. And I'm like, what if I ran into like the love of my life and I look
Yep.
like this?
And you're wearing insulated Crocs.
And I'm wearing my insulated Crocs, you
Uh
know,
huh.
my
Mm hmm.
Croots, my Croc
Mm hmm.
boots,
Mm hmm.
and looking like all kinds of whatever. Like, what if the hottest guy I've ever seen in my life goes by? And I'm just like,
Yep.
okay.
But then they got to love you through that too, right? They
I
got to.
mean, it would be a rough first impression, but if that was the impression they grabbed onto, then that'd be good, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. It's tough with first impressions, right? 'Cause you only get one shot. That's literally in the name. But as you're kind of like living in Southern California as well, there's a culture of Southern California, knowing because I grew up here as well, is like that impression, the visual impression
Uh-huh.
of kind of like being too much or not enough or playing yourself up or down. And I love a theme. I love a costume. A good friends of mine just threw an inflatables themed birthday party,
Oh my
so everyone
god.
showed up in an inflatable costume and they rented a bounce house.
Oh my god,
And
that
like
is so fun.
definitely the most fun I've had in a long time because it just stripped all that away, right? You didn't care if you looked fat, you didn't care if you didn't like your outfit, if you didn't like your shirt, if you ate like it just everybody was a blow up whatever. So I was like a huge blow up avocado and then my friends were like blobs and then the aliens and flamingos and it was just crazy to have that much fun. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering like if living in LA, especially West Hollywood, like do you find yourself ever getting caught up in that kind of mental space of like the appearances game, or are you kind of like, you know what, I was there in my younger years and now I'm just freaking over it?
I think, growing up, I didn't grow up in LA, but I
Mm,
think growing up just in general, again, on the internet,
Yeah, of course.
in that age of like vicious pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did kind of like really get my mind caught up in those things. But now, very genuinely, I walk around West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, whatever, and I look around and I'm like, everyone looks the same.
Right?
I'm the
Right?
only one that doesn't look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, that's kind of a flex.
Totally.
I'm like, actually, I think that this
Totally.
kind of like boosts my confidence because I don't look like any of these people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, and so I think, yeah, and especially to your point about fashion, like sometimes when I'm wearing an outfit that might seem like kind of ridiculous, I feel the best,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you know? And maybe it's just because I feel the most like me. And so that I'm
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. And I think anytime that
Mm-hmm.
you can express your style through clothes, jewelry, your hair, your makeup. And that's what I love about makeup too, is just that it makes you feel like you or like the best
Mm-hmm.
version of you. And that can change every day. You
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'll do my makeup one way, other times I'll do it like totally different. And it just sort of depends on my mood, but it helps you to feel the best in your own skin. And I think that that is like the biggest flex you can have.
Yeah. What how would you describe how you want like customers of your jewelry pieces to feel?
Comfortable,
Yeah.
comfortable, seen, um, and just like having something that's expressive, but like not
Yeah.
so serious.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that tone a lot from your stuff. Is like even your chaotic newsletter, which I love.
Okay.
Um open it every time. There's that balance, right? It's like it's I'm showing up and I'm expressing myself, but by you expressing yourself in a loud kind of out there way sometimes makes other people feel more comfortable to be themselves in a different kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And whether the appearances and stuff matters to them or not, like I just told that whole story of my dad and his ridiculous outfit, like that's just so my dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's beauty in that too. There's beauty in the person that's just like, this is clothing is strictly utilitarian. I'm just never going to be that person.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's just funny to see like and how beautiful like the spectrum of that human experience, right? That you can
Absolutely.
be all the way from one side to all the way to the other side and that there's kind of a lot of celebration to be had in just that fact, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that maybe that's like what keeps me inspired to
Yeah.
create new things is just because it's like, okay, I've never tapped into like this area. And like, I wonder who
Yeah.
would like this or who would wear that. Or if the same person that would wear, you know, my more simple stuff, would they also wear my other stuff? You know, and
Right.
kind of seeing who gets what. It's all really a fun way to like view society, I guess.
Totally. Totally. And it becomes a time capsule. Like I think
Yeah.
even with my work, like I can look back on my work and be like, okay, wow, that's what we really cared about in 2016. That's what we really cared about in 2019. Like
Yeah.
it's really interesting to kind of watch it back. And also again, like our whole generation in 20, 30 years from now, it's going to be so interesting to see what we thought was important now.
Oh
You know what
my
I mean?
God. Yeah. And I also often wonder, like, what am I going to look back on in even 5 years that I'm like, what the fuck
Totally.
was I
What
doing?
was I doing?
What was
I
I
think that all the time.
doing? Like,
Yeah.
I look back on like 2016, 17, and I was just telling my best friend, I was like, my eyebrows were so big,
That's
so
so funny.
huge, and like
Yeah.
so massively sharply angled.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, everybody was always like, I love your eyebrows, like your eyebrows are amazing, da da da. And I look
Uh-huh.
back and I'm like, these look fucking crazy.
Mhm.
These look
Mhm.
nuts, you
Mhm.
know? But at the time, you don't, I thought I was looking great. So I wonder in 5 years, like, what is it going to be where I'm like, what was I doing?
Oh my gosh, it's so humbling to scroll back and read your own Instagram captions.
Oh
So
my God.
humbling.
I don't know if I've
Like
ever
I
done
went
that.
back. Oh God, I don't recommend. I went back like way back recently on my business Instagram and
Uh-huh.
was like reading the things that I was like, who? I don't even recognize who was writing this at this point. Like this just
Right.
feels like such a different person. And I don't know who I was trying to be and for what, but it's just like I read some of the stuff. What? Like, but this was also
Yeah.
like peak girl boss
Yes.
era. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Where
Yeah.
like the biggest thing you could be like, the best thing would be like wear a pink blazer and call yourself a girl boss.
A
It's
girl
like
boss, a
ultimate,
hashtag girl boss. What are
which is
your thoughts
so
on
funny.
Instagram now?
You know, I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think
Yeah.
that it's unfortunately TikTok DMs are just not nearly as strong.
Oh my
And there's
God.
so much conversation, there's so much connection that happens in Instagram DMs. And so I think that that's a big reason that it's keeping me there. But then I'm also noticing a lot of my audience from TikTok spills over into Instagram because
Yeah.
there's just kind of more of a even though my following on TikTok is larger, like my Instagram's not so much, but it just feels like more of a way to keep tabs on somebody on a regular basis than
Hmm.
TikTok does. TikTok is like, show me the thing from the creator that has like 4 followers that's so niche to me that I'm gonna love it and send it to 80 people because it's like that's my shit.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't get that on Instagram. Instagram, you just see everybody's perfectly polished baloney, which also is
Right.
exhausting. So
Right.
it's like
I
pick
don't
your
even see any
poison.
of my friends. I see like
I
nothing
know.
that anybody I care about. But I'm like, huh? Somebody
And
could
now
have
the
a
ads
baby
are
and I wouldn't know.
so aggressive. Literally. And now the
So
ads are
aggressive.
so aggressive that I'm just like, I'm tired of like getting sold to constantly. And so
Yeah.
TikTok feels like a reprieve from that. But then being on this, on the TikTok hamster wheel can also be exhausting because you're
Yeah.
like, damn, I put so much effort into this video and it's like
Yeah.
400 views. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can post my work all day long. And then I post my birthday invitations and all of a sudden everybody's up my
Oh,
butt about them. I'm like,
right.
oh my God. Like, okay, I guess we're going to ride this for a while. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's like I was always more of an Instagram person, even though it would frustrate the shit out of me. I was always
Yeah.
frustrated with it just because, I mean, for a million reasons, all the
Yeah.
reasons that everybody doesn't like Instagram. Um, and then everybody's like, you should be on TikTok, you should be on TikTok. And I was just like, no, I don't want to like
Yeah.
have to think of
Yeah.
trends or like the songs. And it's like, it feels like so much effort. And I'm already putting like a ton of effort on Instagram. How many hours in a day do I have? I'm one
Exactly.
human and
Exactly.
I'm doing all of this myself. So, I think kind of I decided one day like it has to be sort of one or the other.
Totally.
You know what I
Totally. So
mean?
you're
Like
fully in the, you're both feet into TikTok then, huh?
I'm both feeding to TikTok. I still have my Instagram, but it's
Yeah.
just like it's less of a priority for me.
Sure.
Because it gets seen by like nobody that even follows me. And then also just like the ROI on it.
Totally.
Like I can
Totally.
post one TikTok about fucking nothing and it
Yep.
will drive way more traffic to my website than a
And that's
post
what I
on
keep telling people
Instagram.
too. It's like I posted this whole series about my birthday invitations and I got 40 inquiries over a weekend. 40
Yeah.
40. Like
Yeah.
that's stupid. Why would I even spend that much time on Instagram to like maybe nurture one lead that's loosey goosey and DMs me once every 3 months that's like half serious about moving forward? Like
Yeah.
no, like I'd
Yeah.
rather like granted like I'm not a birthday invitation designer, but at the very least I can connect with these people and to try to help them out or refer them to my Facebook group or my podcast or whatever because you never know where these things go, right? Like
Yeah.
you never know. And so
You
it's
never
way
know.
more fun. It's way more fun to me to be on that game of it. And you're right, it's like a return on your time. It's like if you're a
Yeah.
busy entrepreneur and you only have so much time and you got to do your work, like then find the tool that's giving you the highest return on your time because that's the stuff you'll not get back.
Right. And for me, like, and I think we talked about this in our previous episode, but like, I'm all about
Yeah.
fun. If I'm not
Yeah, of
having
course.
fun, I'm
Of
like, this
course.
is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And
Yeah,
Instagram really started feeling like I'm not having fun here. I'm just doing this out of obligation, like to
totally.
keep numbers up. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I think once I finally kind of leaned into TikTok and I was like, I just have fun on there and I have no expectations for it because I
Yeah.
don't treat it at all like my
Oh,
business because it's not.
right.
It's not.
Right.
I
Right.
rarely ever
Right.
talk about my business on there. I mean,
Right.
people ask like, "Oh, where's your jewelry from?" And then I'll say like, "Oh, well, it's mine," and maybe I'll do a video about it. But for the most part, like it's just fun for me,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like I can't think of a better way to kind of have it, to just be
Yeah.
able to mindlessly have fun and then be like, "Oh, and this like helps my business," you know?
Yep. 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 No, it's exactly how I got into live streaming also was just like
Oh, I've
I
never
have
live streamed.
oh my god, girl, you should do it. It's really fun. Here's the thing. In a live stream, just showing like a logo design process. So for example, this last weekend, I'm helping my sister's friend's sister plan a bachelorette party and they wanted custom branding for the bachelorette party and some help like sourcing all of the materials for the bachelorette party.
Mhm.
And so I just set up my phone on TikTok Live and on a Friday afternoon on Cinco de Mayo, had no plans, was just going to stay in and work. And in the space of an hour, 800 people watched this live. Like
So
the
crazy.
visibility is bonkers. The visibility is bonkers. And it's
Yes.
a thing
Yeah.
of like, people want to see how the sausage gets made, right? Because you'll
Yeah.
stand out in front of a bakery where they're hand rolling croissants for 20 minutes before you decide you want a croissant. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly the same
Oh,
mentality.
not me, not me. Give me 30
2
seconds and I
minutes.
want the
Okay,
croissant.
perfect. But for you with like the jewelry stuff or even coming up with concepts or working with your suppliers or anything like that or deciding fragrances, like it just creates a really natural, really like easy rapport of kind of like a day in the life stuff. And then the best part about going live is you can download those suckers afterward. And then you can set it to a time lapse and then you
Ah,
can speed it up. So anything
yeah.
that you see of me that's like logo design that's sped up is not even time lapse from my laptop. It's probably the downloaded TikTok live where I'm
Yeah.
then like
You
stripping that,
repurposed it.
cutting it, repurpose it. So within the time that I went live, I was pet sitting at my parents' house. So went live for like 2-3 hours, then downloaded the live, then from sitting in the hot tub, uploaded 3 TikToks out of it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It just,
Yeah.
again, it's like an optimization of your time and to get your time back is so valuable. And I'm
It's
like
the
a big, like
work
optimize your
smarter,
time
not
person.
harder thing. Work smarter,
Exactly.
not
And
harder. Yeah.
it has that casualness that we're talking about because it's not produced. It's not on a DSLR. It's not super glossy. It's not high res. Like it's just kind of as if you were sitting like parrot on my shoulder watching me do my job. That's kind of, I think it gives, that's way more TikTok than it is Instagram. Do
Yes,
you know what I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that that's why it's easy for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because their algorithm is like tailored to, and that's like their secret really, is that they have such a specific algorithm that gets people that are interested in what you
Yep.
have to offer or say or whatever to see it. Whereas
Yep.
Instagram, I think, kind of killed itself because they destroyed their algorithm
Well, they
and you're
just
not
made
even
the
seeing your friends, So it's like,
totally. Instagram made the barrier to entry so much higher than it needed to be. Like I
yeah,
think with Instagram, like you had to have these super glossy photos or these well produced reels, or like everything had to be super fabulous, like all the time, which is just not realistic. Whereas TikTok, it's like straight out your phone is good, bro. Like
yeah.
just show us
Oh
what you
yeah,
got.
just like
You know,
upload it. And also the interface on Reels makes no sense to me. I'm like, this
none,
is the most
none.
confusing thing I've ever met
Yeah,
in my life,
yeah.
you know?
Oh, I feel you. So if you're going in the cave, you're not taking Instagram. I take it.
No, I wouldn't take any
No.
social media if I was in my cave. Just the
Yeah.
movies and my dog and my moisturizer.
And there you go, and you're
That's
set for
really all
life.
I need. Yeah.
Okay, so if not in a cave, where do you see Shop Natalie McMillan going in 3 years, 5 years from now? What do you hope to be doing? What's on the vision board?
Oh my gosh. That is so interesting. I really would love to do more art.
Yes.
I love painting so much and I would love to be able to have more time to paint. And I think in doing so, I would have to just like sell more paintings.
Can you
Um,
just host one? Can you like host an event like a paint night? I would freaking go. I would drive out from San
oh, I
Diego.
guess I could. I guess I could. I guess my problem is I have so many ideas
Uh-huh.
all the time
Uh-huh.
that I can never focus them into one area.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I guess
Uh-huh.
that's an ADHD thing, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Pretty
clinical.
textbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's hard for me to like focus it into like, oh, that's a good
Sure.
idea. You know, like how would I get from
Sure.
A to B? I'm just like, I just want
Sure.
this. And I don't know how to go there, but I just want that's what I want.
Yep. Yep.
For me, usually it evolves in somehow, but
Yeah.
I would love to do more paintings. I would love to do more fragrances.
Yeah.
Um, this year I mean we're halfway through the year, but I'm hoping to get another one done by the end of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Um, and then I had a holiday candle in 2020 that like and I told people this was a one-time deal. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing it. It's like a limited edition fun candle for Christmas of 2020, which was like the fucking worst.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you people were like legitimately mad at me in
For not bringing it
2021
back.
because I didn't
Yeah.
bring it back. And then 2022, I tried to bring it back and it just was like we couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
So I mean if I don't do it this year, I'm afraid for my life. Like I fear
Mm-hmm.
for myself. So
Yeah.
that will come out for Christmas. Um and yeah, but just in terms of the next 3-5 years, I genuinely have no idea. But that's kind of how I've
Keep us on our
always
toes.
done it. I've
Yeah.
always just been like, I don't know what's around the corner, but I'm just
Right.
gonna keep rolling with it,
Yeah.
you know?
I like it.
Because
I like it.
that's how I did the fragrances and that's how I did the candles and I design clothes sometimes and I used to have bags and it's just kind of
I feel like I could
whatever.
see you landing some cool collabs.
Oh,
Like
I would
collabs
love to.
with brands that are like atypical to have a jewelry collab. Like I don't know
Yeah.
why I feel like I see you like partnering up with some like very niche car company or something. That and there's
Yeah.
like you're designing hood ornaments that are also jewelry or there's some like crossover. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something that's really out of the box.
Well,
Um
right now I'm actually working on a collection for the Magic Castle.
oh
Like the like
hey.
in the Hollywood
That's
like Magic
cool.
Castle or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, amazing. That's see,
Yeah.
I feel like I can see you do stuff like that because you have such an like specific like vibe, but is also open, but like kind of occupies this really interesting, fun, colorful, crazy, but also still like rock and roll kind of space.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think there's a
yeah.
lot of very natural collaborations for you. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll see. We're going to find
I
out.
love it. I love it. I love it. The other question we've been asking everyone this season on the podcast because we started it in January, and now it's kind of a weird question to ask because it's May already. But something you're taking with you in 2023 and something you're leaving behind in 2022.
Whew, something I'm taking with me in 2023. I am
Like a theme or a vibe or a
mhm.
what's the
I think
energy?
what I think well, let's say I'll start with what I'm leaving behind.
Mm-hmm.
Um and that is I can actually finally say for the first time in my life that I have such better work-life balance right now.
Ooh, bravo.
Like, oh my God. I never thought I'd see the day. But like I genuinely have like started taking care of myself a little bit better. Like I'm not working
Ooh,
till 10 p.m. and then going to bed at 3 and
yeah.
waking up at 6. Like
Yep.
I'm taking better care of myself. And so I'm leaving all of that in 2022. And then
Nice.
in 2023, I'm taking I think just the openness to anything.
Yeah.
You know, I've sort of thought because I've had kind of like other things come my way to incorporate into my brand or to do things on TikTok or whatever. And I'm just sort of open to like, okay, like let's just see where this goes. Let's
See
see
where it
where
could
what
go.
that happens. Yeah. So I think just like a
Nice.
general openness to seeing what the universe has in store, I guess.
I like that. That sounds
Yeah.
optimistic. That
Well,
sounds
yeah, I'm
good.
very optimistic. I'm a very optimistic
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Good. Ditto. Well, where can everyone find you, follow you, see your work, buy some of your pieces? Plug
Yes.
yourself.
Okay. You can go to natalie-mcmillan.com. There you can go to my shop, or you can sign up for my newsletter, which is just like once a month. And it has nothing to do with anything, really. It's just
It's
fun.
fun.
And then I'm on Instagram. My personal one is at NatalieMCM. TikTok is at Natalie.mcm. Somebody else is NatalieMCM. And then my Instagram for my brand is shop Natalie McMillan.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and chit-chatting and catching up, of course. It's always a pleasure. And we'll see you again soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me back.